Hello, and thank you so much for your interest in exploring an opportunity with the Working Party. You're about to watch an interview with my colleague Nath and the COO of the Working Party, Kelly Brown. And after that, we'll circle back and talk about three really good reasons that we think this is a great opportunity in e-commerce at this point in time.
Kel, thanks for joining us to give our candidates a bit of an insight to yourself and the Working Party.
Thanks for having me, Nathan. On this Friday afternoon,
Look,
let's get stuck into it.
you think the least we could do as our client joining us on a Friday afternoon is send you a bottle of champagne or something to do while we have this chat?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually been an interesting time that you say that, because we've had a lot of bottles of champagne turned up to the office recently, but unfortunately none of them are left.
It's fair. You've been in lockdown.
Yeah,
So Kel, for people who may not have come across the Working Party, can you give us the overview of what you guys do?
Definitely. So we're an e-commerce focused digital agency. We work with Shopify Plus, and we work with some of Australia's best known brands in market, I guess sort of designing, delivering, iterating, growing their website. And really what drives us is sort of communicating their brand value online. So we know for our clients how hard it is for them to sort of to build that brand and how much investment goes into it. So what we're super passionate about is making sure that they get a maximum sort of return on investment. Some of the clients that we work with, and I know that you probably know this, but for people who don't know us, we work with a whole raft of fashion brands like Lavisa, Cookai, Sir the Label, Zulu and Zephyr, Pedal and Pop. There's quite a lot of them. And then we also work with some bigger clients like Thermomix and JB Hi-Fi. So there's quite a spectrum of sort of, bricks and mortar retailer, where we're also working with their sort of e-commerce operations all the way through to sort of those more DTC brands.
Great. And it's across the spectrum of all e-commerce?
What do you mean?
So in terms of development, design, marketing?
It's not the full spectrum. So the line where we draw the line in the sand, we don't do paid advertising and digital marketing. So we do deal with all of our clients' owned assets. So things like on-site SEO, performance, email marketing. So any of their owned assets, then we will sort of assist them with that. But anything that's off-site and they don't own in those spaces, we don't do those things. So no digital marketing.
That's great. It is really clear, that line in the sand.
Yeah.
I know the answer to this, but can you give us an insight on who you are and how you joined the business?
Yeah, definitely. So it seems like quite a little while ago now. So we have been the Working Party since 2013. So I guess coming up on, is that 8 years?
Yeah, almost 9.
Yeah, almost 9 years. And so prior to that, I had a long career working in Sydney in fashion for about 15 years, and all brand side roles. So notably for Sass and Bide, I also did a little head of buying maternity cover role for Temple and Webster when they started up, but a lot of really, sort of heavy brand side stuff. So I guess, and Cal, who is my partner and co-founder, also comes from a retail and sort of brand side background in the early days. So I guess the way that we've sort of combined our skills and the way we see the world is that we're not just another digital agency. We really see things from the retailer's perspective and from the brand side perspective. And he is a designer and developer as well as, sort of CEO in the business now. And I feel like it's a mix of those sort of things that have really driven us to work with the brands that we do. We're really, really focused, and you can probably see like some of the feedback that I get on the business from, sort of, I guess, more partners that we work with, is that we, again, have sort of communicated ourselves in a way that's quite different to other technology and other agencies. We really think of ourselves as a brand, and you can sort of see that in the way that we're so conscious about how, any sort of asset that we put out goes from a design point of view. The way that we have constructed our website, like you log on and it's not all about the technology, it's really about the aesthetic and who we are and how we sort of view the world and approach things.
Yeah, and I think it stands out straight away. If you haven't been to the Working Party website, make sure you go to it, because so often you have agencies. Oh, there's my daughter Grace. She's just lying on the floor. That's how we work here. So many times you go to agencies' websites and they could be the best development or design agency, but they haven't given their website any attention. You can tell that there's attention and attention to detail across everything.
Yeah, and the fun thing about that website is, well, there's a couple of fun things about it. I mean, we concepted it as a team internally. We made sure that everybody had had an opportunity to work on it, had a touch point in it, and we're continuing to, like we do for our clients' websites, not as much as we would ever like to, but we're definitely continuing to sort of iterate it, update it, put more content on it, change it, tweak the text and those sort of things. Like, we really, we have even toyed with putting an e-commerce shop connected to it, Nathan, because we really want to, sort of walk the walk as well as talk the talk.
Sell some TWP merch.
Oh, as a team, we're like dying to do TWP merch.
Love it. All right. So what you've kind of touched on it, but if I was to ask you to summarize what you think the Working Party does better than any other agency out there, what would you say?
I think it's two things actually. So I think there's the internal and then there's the external. I think from the external point of view, it really is taking brands and showcasing them online in a way that maximizes return on investment. So we're super about taking the investment that a founder has put into the look and feel of their brand and making sure that their customers connect with that in the e-commerce environment. And then, I think we've been around for quite some time now, and I definitely have had an opportunity to speak to a whole bunch of people who work in e-commerce and agency land. I think one of the things that, as a founder of the business, I feel really connected to is how we sort of treat and grow and develop and manage and care for our team. And I think that that's been something that, across COVID, particularly because we're based in Melbourne and we do have team members sort of dotted around, even though they're mostly here, the way that we've sort of, managed that and dealt with that and worked with them and looked after them and, we really do have a massive emphasis on making sure that everybody is happy, is looked after. And also from a work point of view is getting the work that they want and that they want to challenge themselves with. Like, I think when I talk to my team, the feedback that they give me is they are so engaged because they get the challenges that they want in their job. And they also feel really connected to their team members. They all like each other. They all like working together. We're a very kind of low ego company. And I think for agency land, that's not the norm.
No, it's not. It's and apologies, we've got an escapee, but it does come through, and I've I know a lot of your team, and they can't speak highly enough. What kinds of people make a great Working Party kind of person?
Yeah, I think there's quite a clear sort of almost checklist. Like, if you're self-assessing, and it's not always about the exact skill set that you have, but I think that the people that we love working with and the people who fit best into the team are really, they're motivated to succeed, but they're also motivated to collaborate. And I think that those two things don't always go hand in hand. So I think it's really important that you want to do your absolute best work and you want to learn and grow and be supported and onboard new skills, and then work with other people who are doing a similar thing and who are going to support you in that. So, I think we had an interview the other day, and it's so funny. I love getting on interviews with the team when, the candidate's sort of in that final stage and they're asking all the tough questions, making the decision. And the candidate said to two of my senior team, they were like, I know Kelly's on the call, but can you just tell me, like, what do you really love about the job? Like, why do you stay? And they were like, it's just the collaboration and the camaraderie. Like, it's just that, knowing that you can tap someone on the shoulder at any time of the day and they'll get back to you, like whether it's on Slack or jumping on a Zoom call or catching up to, problem solve through something. It's just knowing that you're not alone and knowing that you have the support and you can ask the questions and that, somebody is going to be there to answer them.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So you've made the transition from brand side over to agency, albeit owning the agency. What is there any myths around agency life for people who may be on the brand side at the moment going, oh, I'd love to go over to agency? Any myths that you'd like to dispel, or anything that you'd like to share of what you found since making that move?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked for a lot of brands and I've only ever worked for one agency. So I couldn't say that I'm, like incredibly studied in this as a question, but I think that there are myths, around what agency life can be like. And I think probably one of the key things is because Cal and I didn't come from an agency background, we made so many mistakes. Like in the first, it's been 8 or 9 years, like the first 2 or 3 years, it was a mistake a minute, like, and you learn from that. But I think it's still consistent in the way we approach things now, even with the team. I'm like, cool, make a mistake and learn from it. Like, how else do you sort of, embrace that learning process? But I think because we didn't come from agency side, we didn't build an agency. Like, we never kind of really even set out to do that. So I'm not sure if the way that we work is the way that all agencies work. And it's the same way as sort of taking that brand approach. So I'm not sure, like sometimes I feel disappointed when people talk about agencies in a bad way, because I feel like we've almost tried to set things up to not, when I hear about like the bad examples of agency, it's like people get treated really badly, and like hours that go on from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. There was a question on that interview phone call the other day. Oh, what are the working hours like? And the guys were like 9 till 5:30. I was like, we're not a regular agency in the way that people, I guess, think about it in those, sort of traditional terms. And maybe that's ad agencies, I don't know.
Oh, look, if you think people speak about agencies badly, wait till you hear they talk about recruiters.
Well, I mean, maybe you guys are the same as us then, because you seem to be setting quite a new standard for recruitment. And I think you can get tired with a one size fits all brush. But yeah, I mean, I think that the other things that we've done to try and set our business apart, and even, it's little things like if you go onto the careers page on our website, we have little testimonials from the team about what it's like to work here, because it's good to be able to sort of pull the curtains back and see that, right? In the same way that one of the things that I had to fight a little bit for on the website, and I don't know why I had to fight this battle, but I wanted us to have a testimonial page for our clients, because we work, really hard to make sure we're doing great work for them. And I feel like sometimes in agency land, people, there's a lot of churn and burn. It's like they just want to do the project and move on to the next project. Sorry. Whereas we have, we've had clients for 7 years, because we really try hard and make a priority to have those relationships, like, sort of be long-term relationships. And it's the same with the team. So I think the only way that you can start to get to know a business is by talking to the people that they work with and talking to the people that work for them. So one of the first things I wanted to do on the website was have those testimonials front and center. And it just made sort of a natural sense and way to sort of translate that into the team testimonials as well. And I just said to them, write what you think, put it up.
That's awesome. I love it. I haven't even seen that part of the website, so I'm going to go have a look.
Please do. It's a little bit harder to find.
So they said they'll put it up, but then they hit it a little bit.
I should look at it more frequently than I could.
All right, last question, standing between you and Champagne and some great candidates. What are you most excited about around the future of the Working Party?
That's a great question, because I am excited. Like, I think I'm always excited about the possibilities. Like, I think since I started doing this, 8 years ago, I'd never say that there's been a time that I haven't been excited, but I think it's sort of like the trifecta of excited at the moment, because we started working with Shopify in 2008 when it couldn't even calculate GST. And we worked for so many years talking about Shopify sort of to bigger brands. And it was really like it wasn't really in the mix of those sales conversations in the early days for a lot of people. Like, we did get it across the line with great brands like Cook Eye and Honey Birdette and U Foods. But I think at the moment, it seems to be the exact right sort of convergence of three things, which are the enormous opportunity that there is in e-commerce at the moment, sort of at a warp speed because of the pandemic. So we're in such a good place to be doing great work with the right challenges, with the right brands. And then off the back of that, we are a Shopify Plus only agency, and the trajectory of Shopify Plus as an option for retailers is, at its, not at its peak, but it's been at its most peak to date. So it's things like being able to have conversations, re-platforming brands from Salesforce Commerce Cloud, like for 2 times U that we did earlier this year, because they now see it as a proper sort of contender. And then layered upon that is the fact that, we've gone through that sort of early days of all that mistake making and sort of, learning things and stuff like that. So as a business and as a brand in market, we're really well known and really well respected to sort of capitalize on those opportunities. So I'm very excited about that.
That is exciting. You should be excited. Kel, we're excited about bringing you some great candidates to meet you. Thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with us to give us a little bit of an insight, and we'll speak to you very soon.
So good. Interviewing is one of my favorite parts still of the job. It's that meeting people and understanding what makes them tick, and, sort of, getting out and about and talking to people, especially post-lockdown. So I'm excited for that as well. Thank you.
That's awesome. All right. Cheers, Kel.
Bye.
And so there you have it. I hope you got a sense from that interview around the enormous and beautiful energy that exudes from Kelly and the team at the Working Party. They're a fabulous group to be aligned with, and we're certainly very proud to be recruiting on behalf of their brand. In terms of what we're really excited about, I think, to be partnering with a brand that is has been in the Shopify space since the very beginning in Australia and has built really deeply embedded relationships with, core retailers like Kukai and JB Hi-Fi and Lovisa, and there's nobody who has met at the same level of execution here in Australia as what the Working Party has. I think the other piece is around the experience and exposure of projects that you get across a range of portfolio and brands that are, absolutely at the top of their game in e-commerce. And lastly, but certainly not least, I think you can get a real sense from that interview that, Kelly and Cal really value their people and have built such an outstanding culture and put so much into their team. And, I have to say from what I do in recruitment, culture is one of the number one reasons that people move on from their role. So we get really excited when we can partner with brands where there's such a strong emphasis on helping people to meet their career needs and personal needs. So there you have it. If you would like to continue a conversation, do circle back, and I look forward to catching up and hearing your thoughts.